Hey guys, how's it going? I'm gonna record and read each chapter of my book, and hopefully you guys like it. Prologue, Mamat Origins. Mamat is walking in an alley, belly swollen. She is a white and black cat, most of her fur being black. Only her chin and paws were white. The bleak town of Swarhorn looks even bleaker as Mamat trudges back to where she's made her home. It's behind a dumpster close to a store near woods, surrounded by a creek. As she arrives, she notices there is blood on her paws and frantically licks it off and tries rubbing her paws on anything material that she can find. A blanket is laying on the ground by the dumpster. The blanket was given to her by a nice human girl that also called her Mamat after talking to her. This blanket was what she rubbed it on. After the nice female child human gave Mamat her blanket and her name, she never saw her again. When this happened, Mamat wondered whether the child knew where Mamat was from, something Mamat herself didn't know. All she knew was that after the child left, she felt worse than she had already been feeling. Mamat had a mate named Scal, and he belonged to a family whose house is near the alley. Mamat has a hard time staying still even though she's pregnant. She tries to interact with Scal, but he wants nothing to do with her anymore. Typical of a Tom, huh? Scal had been the only cat that Mamat got along with, and she grieved like a human at his abandonment of her. After sitting at her dwelling for about half an hour, Mamat walked alongside the store, allowing humans to pet her if they wanted. Nobody seemed to want her for anything more, though. Scal's humans also only ever pet her as well. She would try to walk in their house while they were there, but they just picked her up gently and placed her back outside. Mamat continued walking alongside the store, approaching every human that she saw. Every one of them, except a few, pet her at least briefly. A few commented words with Kitty, so she recognized they were good, seeing as they made eye contact and pet her gently. After circling the store and finding no more humans for attention, Mamat made her way back home, careful to avoid the alley with the blood she stepped in earlier. She realized ever since she licked the blood off her paws, she felt queasy, and she was slowly losing energy as she traced back to her dumpster. When Mamat reached her blanket, she flopped down onto it, exhausted after the long walk, and fell asleep. After about an hour past sleeping, Mamat awoke abruptly with a need to suddenly retch. Her vomit came out a dark color, and it burned as it erupted from her mouth. It also made her feel dizzy. Once the feelings had passed, she slumped over and passed out again. Mamat awoke a second time from symptoms, this time a bit differently. She felt as if she had to retch again, but the burning sensation stayed in her mouth, throat, gut, and for some reason her paws were tingling, almost numb. She could still see tiny, dry flecks of blood on her paws, but she didn't worry about licking them again. She couldn't stand the burning inside her, so she dragged herself to the creek to see if water would help. It was much harder to walk this time because of her paws, but as she managed to get to the creek, she lapped some water to see if it would help the burning sensation. It did a little, but the burning sensation remained. She sat on her hindquarters after she was finished drinking and looked around and weakly meowed, almost as if hoping someone or something would hear her and notice her. But as her eyes wearily scanned the area, she saw and heard nothing except the wind rustling the trees across the creek. Sad and tired, Mamat trudged back to her blanket bed and collapsed once again. Several hours later, Mamat woke for the third time. This time, upon waking, the burning sensation was gone. Her paws were no longer tingling, but she couldn't move. She immediately realized that her baby was kicking violently in her belly, as if it was fighting against something. She yowled loudly, baring her teeth, with her eyes bulging from the pain. She was terrified. Her baby was coming, she knew it. Out of sheer might, Mamat forced herself upright and squatted with her behind up as high as she could muster. She could barely stand as a dark sack slid out of her and fell to the ground. With the last bit of her energy, she tore open the sack with her teeth and beheld her two babies. One was black and the other was white. Mamat quickly tried to clean the black baby as it wobbled. The other wasn't moving. When she was mostly positive she had cleaned her baby the best she could, she surrendered her consciousness to the darkness of her eyelids. As Mamat took her final breath, Scal stared and yelled loudly in the distance.